This is TopWhiskies Whiskey War. Every week we take two whiskeys and we pit them against each other. And this week we've got a really special whiskey war. Today we are trying a 20-year-old Glen Grant and a 19-year-old Arran. Both of them are cask strength and single cask. It's going to be really cool to see how these two compare to each other side by side. If this is your first time watching a TopWhiskies video, make sure you click the subscribe button. We do whiskey videos like this every week, and we give away a free bottle of premium whiskey every month. So make sure you ding the bell so you don't miss out. And let's get this whiskey war started. So we're going to try both of these using the same metrics we always use, looking at the nose, the palate, and the finish. And let's start with the Arran. On the nose, and so again, this is quite strong. I think I might have actually just broken my nose doing that. Let's try this with a bit more caution. Pronounced. This is 45.8% alcohol. You can definitely get a big hit of alcohol, but it's nice. It's quite cereal, sort of like grainy and husky. Yeah, it's a really good, strong nose. As I said, yeah, cereal, grain, husk. On the palate, the first thing that's coming across to me on the palate is the fact that this is a very dry whiskey. Though it's definitely, there's no sweetness carrying through from what we were talking about on the nose. It still has that cerealness, that graininess. Considering this is a cask strength whiskey, this is not kind of on the harsh end. Still quite warming, which isn't surprising when you put something in your mouth that's 45.8% alcohol, but not in a bad way, pleasant warming. I think what stands out the most to me about this whiskey is the body. This is a really light body, which is surprising to see in something that's cask strength. A lot of times you don't pick out delicate, light flavors in cask strength whiskey, or at least I don't. But to me, this is really interesting that this is quite a delicate whiskey that's still very warming. The intensity is still light, carrying on from the nose, it's still cereal, but I think what comes out is a lot of spiciness. So this is certainly probably a mix of sort of cereal and spice. The pepper's sort of like cracked pepper or cardamom type pepper. Yeah, it's really delicate but well seasoned, like a steak without having any of the meat. just the nice pepper, whatever you're going to put on top of your steak. This would make a great steak, or make a great accompaniment to a steak. As far as the finish though, that stands out completely apart from the rest. It is a long, very complex finish. It's got kind of that roller coaster you sort of see with Highland Park 18, where it has different pitches and troughs that it goes through. Really complex, lovely, long finish. All right, so now we're going to move on to the Glen Grant, which is 20 years old, and we're also increasing the ABV. So this is 50% alcohol. So I will approach this with caution, having last time singed my nose. Actually, that's really interesting. And maybe it's because I've just had another cask strength whiskey, but on the nose, this is not nearly as aggressive. Are you sure this is 50% alcohol? Ed's nodding behind the camera. This is really, for 50% alcohol, even if I didn't know that, I'd still say this is light. Really inviting, it's sort of light, floral notes. Wow, and not at all what I would expect from something that's 50% alcohol. And moving on to the palate, I can't believe this is 50% alcohol. Wow. Still wow. Okay, so moving on to the palate, let's start at the sweetness. This is off dry whiskey, it's a little bit sweeter than the last one we were looking at. Really interesting sweetness that's well integrated into, again, we're talking about something that's 50% alcohol. It's still warming, but it's not harsh. It's a really nice warming spirit. If you're someone that's used to drinking cask strength whiskey, this is something that'd be very comfortable to drink. If you are new to cask strength whiskey, if you've not had things that are sort of pushing that 50% ABV, you might find this more harsh to your palate. But as someone that does drink a lot of whiskey, hence a YouTube channel about whiskey, subscribe, this is something that's really easy for me to drink. The body itself is really medium, which is nice because, again, with that lightness coming through, it carries it well. It's not overpowering, it's not super mouth coating, but the flavor is so interesting. But we're talking about a light sort of sweetness, corn, burnt sugar. Really interesting because a lot of times you think when you're drinking a cask strength whiskey, you're expecting things to be powering or off-putting in some way. Off-putting's a bit strong, but you expect things to sort of smack you across the face. I'm not used to having cask strength whiskeys that are quite this light and nuanced. This is a really interesting experience to try something that is at this level with this kind of medium sort of intensity. Really nice. And on the finish, it's probably more of a medium finish. It's quite concentrated. You get a big sort of spike up front, which tapers off slowly. It's certainly still a complex finish. You've got lots of flavors sort of intermingling and playing with each other, but probably more of a medium length. All right, so now we'll try them, or we'll talk about them side by side, which is the best part of the whiskey war. These are both really interesting whiskeys to be talking about, which is obviously why we selected them to go together. When you're talking about cask strength whiskey, you're talking about something that's very unique. So with a cask strength whiskey or with a single cask whiskey, you're looking at one barrel that's going to produce maybe 250 to 300 bottles. These are both, so the Arran is 19, the Glen Grant is 20 years old, with very similar, very limited amounts are available. And what's really cool about that is that you're going to get differences in these bottles. When you buy a whiskey, when you buy a Glen Grant or an Arran, what you're getting is almost the blending, to use sort of that term, of a blended whiskey, or an Arran 10 or the Glen Grant 10 is going to be a combination of lots of different Arran or Glen Grant casks that are all 10 years old, put together to create a consistent flavor. In fact, Glen Grant in particular really prides themselves on consistency, and the 18-year-old Glen Grant will always taste like an 18-year-old Glen Grant. And in order to achieve that, what they do is they mix lots of casks together to create that consistent flavor. And by trying one cask, we're getting a selection of, or a very specific flavor that one cask has given it, so it's a really unique experience. And as a result, you'll get things that will be good, bad, different, and I think that's what's exciting about drinking single cask whiskey. So let's start with the Arran. The Arran is a really enjoyable whiskey. I'm trying to remember which one is which. This one. So the Arran it's a really nice whiskey. As I said, I like the fact that it has this really nice, long, complex finish. It's really, really enjoyable. I think that if we talk about all whiskeys starting it good and trying to find something that pushes it over, I think that finish for this Arran is the difference between a good whiskey and a very good whiskey. So this Arran single cask, cask strength, single barrel is a very good whiskey. And looking at the Glen Grants, this is all throughout this, there's something special about it. The nose for a cask strength whiskey at 50% is so light and really surprising. And then we move into the palate, which is just amazing. I love this corn sweetness, this sort of medium body. For something that's 50% alcohol, you don't expect to see something that's so nuanced. At least I don't typically, or I haven't experienced a lot of that. And the finish, I think, is really nice too. It is a bit shorter than maybe I'd like, but that just means it's more concentrated. So to me, all those things together, having a nice nose, having a good palate, having a really interesting finish, this Glen Grant can be nothing but an outstanding whiskey. Thanks for watching this video. If you've had Arran or Glen Grant before, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Let us know, based on the way I've described these whiskeys, which one do you think you would go for? And let us know in the poll that's like literally above my head right now. And thanks for watching this video. Remember to subscribe for more Whiskey Wars. We do one every week, so don't miss out.
Could you describe it almost as if the individual casks are married?